I've been telling you for some time that the damage Donald Trump is doing in the US is going to outlast his presidency. And this is true both in terms of the practical and the ideological. So, as an example, the way in which Trump has coarsened political language and what counts as discourse is going to outlast Donald Trump. That won't be fixed when Trump leaves office. But a more practical example is that things like the alliances with other countries that Trump has ruined will take longer to fix than Donald Trump's tenure in office. It could take years after Trump is gone to repair those alliances with other countries, with international institutions and working groups. David Frum, a traditional conservative, I guess we'd call him, he was a speechwriter for George W. Bush. He wrote an article about exactly this in The Atlantic called America After Trump. And he points out a lot of the ways in which Trump's damage to America is going to last longer than his presidency. One example is, even though Republicans before Trump have won the Electoral College without winning the popular vote, Trump lost the popular vote by the biggest margin in history while still winning the Electoral College in 2016. That's likely to happen again if Trump gets reelected in 2020. And the more that losing margin is in the popular vote while still winning the electoral, Frum argues, will call into question the legitimacy of our political system. And I agree, and I've been talking about the Electoral College for a long time. And Frum goes on to say, if Trump loses narrowly in 2020, the 40% of the country that likes him is likely to turn into organized violence, which will be destructive to our country's social fabric for a very long time. Maybe Trump will try to get the military involved to keep him in office because he feels that he was cheated. Now, the military is not going to do that, but simply a president publicly pushing for that would be disastrous for the country, and it would allow Trump to keep harming the United States beyond November of 2020. Now, if Trump loses big, as David Frum says, the possibility of Democrats fixing everything and quickly is really slim, and we have to recognize that. There is going to be a lot to fix. And unfortunately, the reality is that this takes a long time. Even a much more left-wing president than we've ever had before, if it's Bernie, if it's Warren, they're not going to be able to do everything and fix everything in 4 years. And this will potentially make people even more disaffected with the political system because they'll say, look, Trump was terrible, but we got him out and we put in Bernie or Warren, and they barely fixed anything because it's, of course, much easier to break things than it is to build them, as we know. And then there are things David Frum doesn't talk about in his piece. I've talked about the justice system, the judiciary, the damage done by Donald Trump's Supreme Court and lower court justice and judge selections is already disgusting, and it will continue, and it will persist for a long time because those are positions for life, and they are going to outlast Trump by a lot. The damage of the environmental regulations that were rolled back or skipped may never be undone. And every day we fall further and further behind where we could be. We don't make progress. We don't deal with the environmental issue. That's by design. This is what they want, but it will damage the country long beyond Donald Trump's presidency. This is just a partial list, but the idea is to really make clear that we do not fix the problems merely by getting rid of Trump. That's like 1A, the prerequisite to start thinking about all of the things that will need to be fixed. There are people on the left who recognize it. There are people on the right, like David Frum, who recognize it. And we all need to understand that the removal of Trump in 2020 is not the solution. It's merely step one in starting to repair things. Let me know what you think. I'm on Twitter at @Pakman. Follow me there. We'll take a quick break and be back right after this.